Okay, it seems that some of you have asked me how exactly I make my bedding for the worms, and what we're doing today is we're making up some bedding for the African night crawlers, which is basically I use the peat moss for them, cardboard, shredded cardboard, and then some dolomite. But anyway, I'm going to show you basically the steps that I go through. First thing is basically I want to sift all my bedding. Right now I'm using a 1/4-inch screen, and that's going to be good enough for me to get down to where I want to get to for the bedding. So all it is basically going through the screen, and that's that part of it. Okay, give me just a second to set up, and I'll show you the next part. Okay, now our next step is going to be basically we're going to take some garden lime that we purchased from Home Depot, and we're just going to go ahead, since this is a granular, which you can see right here, I want to dissolve it first before I add it to the water or to the bedding. So basically I'm just going to pour it in the water, and I'm going to give it a good stir, and we'll let it sit for probably about 5 or 10 minutes for all the granules to dissolve. We'll give it one more good stir before I pour it into the other buckets. So and as you can see, it makes everything a little bit brown, but it's still pretty chunky, and we just want to get all of that dissolved so that when we do mix it in, it is a liquid. Okay, our next step basically is going to be to add our shredded cardboard to some water I've got here, because I just want to soak it. And we're just going to basically fill up 1 5-gallon bucket, actually 2 buckets for the amount of bedding we're making today. But you can see that there's shredded cardboard, there's some torn up cardboard, pizza boxes, regular cardboard, something like egg crates that was used to ship fruit. And we're just going to go ahead and stir this up a little bit so that we can get everything good and saturated. And we're going to end up letting it sit in the bucket for about a half hour. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill up the other bucket, but I'm not going to bore you with the detail. Okay, well, the cardboard's been sitting in the water for a good 30-40 minutes. So now it's time for me to go ahead and add it to the peat moss. And as you can see, all I do is just dump it in there. Then I'm going to get my handy dandy, what the hell kind of tool you call this. But anyway, that's what I use to help mix it up. I know I'm going to end up needing some more water, and I've already got that set off to the side. Because peat moss does soak up a whole lot of water. I split the peat moss up into 2 different trays to make it easier for mixing, and also to make room for the cardboard. And sometimes it's easier just to use your hands, although some people don't like to get their hands dirty. I personally like the smell of peat moss, dirt, anything like that that is good and fertile and healthy. So anyway, I'm going to get some more water and pour it in here, and I'll show you what I do when I've got it all done, what it looks like. Okay, as you can see, it's all pretty well mixed up right now. I do have too much water in there, as you can plainly see. I mean, right there, you can definitely see a puddle. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more of the peat moss to help absorb that. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you with that part. Okay, now that's still too wet for me. So what I've done is I've just thrown up another layer of dry cardboard, and I'm going to go ahead and stir all this up and blend it, and then we'll go on to one of the final steps. Okay, one of the next steps you got to do is, this is just my moisture meter. It's also my pH meter, and just a cheap one. You do have to make sure that you use some kind of abrasive cloth or sandcloth or scrubbing pad or whatever. Clean off the probes each time you use it, and you can see there it just went instantly to way too high. It's at 100%. Now my pH has already risen to about 4.5, just under 5%, or just actually right at 5 for the pH scale. You're going to want to let that sit there for roughly about, the manufacturer says a minute. I say I leave it in there for about 4 to 5 minutes before I finally get my final reading. Okay, as you can see, there's a lot of water that started to drain out of all the bedding that we have mixed up so far. So in order to combat that, I've come up with a way that works for me, and I like it because it does work. Anyway, all I've done is take an ordinary 5-gallon bucket, and I've drilled holes all the way around basically the perimeter of the bucket. They're 1/2-inch holes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start taking handfuls. I'm going to fill the bucket up, and I'll probably end up needing 2 of them at least. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you what I do to finish it. Okay, here you go. We ended up with 4 buckets, as you can see right here, that are all filled with the bedding that we've mixed up. And right now they're all sitting in the buckets with the holes in them. So our last step is going to be to take each bucket and put one on top of the other, just like that. And normally, if it was really bad, you'd be able to see some water coming out the bottom, but that one's not too bad. So, we've got that one. And we've got the other one.